Marjorie Greene, like many Republicans, utterly despises democracy, but she does seem to have mustered just enough brain cells to figure out that it would be a lot easier for Republicans to win elections if Democrats were legally barred from voting. It's an amazing plan. We're gonna weigh the merits, starting with this.
And now we've seen a big change in our Georgia elections. We have 2 Democrat senators representing Georgia and no longer Republican senators. And we are a state that I would say we're a little bit more purple than I like. We've had to fight off Stacey Abrams twice now, even though she still thought she was governor for quite some time. But this is the problems, and I agree with you. And this is a mistake that a lot of Republican states do, is they say, we're going to bring in jobs, we're bringing in business. And then they offer these tax credits to woke industries and woke corporations. And 5 to 10 years down the road, the people that were born and raised there don't recognize their cities, their counties, and their states anymore, because they move into your state and they bring their Democrat votes with them. And I think this is something that, say, if we ended up in a national divorce situation, well, red states could stop that from happening by changing their voting laws and say, we welcome you to live here, but we just don't want you to bring your votes with you for a little while. We want you to learn and understand why this is the way it is.
Okay, so there's a whole lot of crazy there, but the bottom line is people move around and sometimes they don't agree with Marjorie Greene. And for that reason and that reason alone, they should be legally barred from voting for 5 years, which is an amazing claim to make. I mean, we could talk again about her obsession now with the national divorce. And by the way, there's this thing where when someone is going through something or gets into something, they make everything about it. Like you might have experienced on the show that I recently started watching wrestling again, so I make a lot of analogies to wrestling. She gets divorced and suddenly everything in politics is about divorce. It's not all about you, Marjorie. Anyway, so there's a lot of issues with her plan. First of all, it is explicitly solely designed to be anti-democratic. And I mean that both capital D and lower D. It's against the concept of democracy. And you'll notice it only is meant to apply to Democratic votes coming into red states. She doesn't even have the minimal savviness to be like, and obviously Democrats could do that to Republicans in blue states. You know, like pretending that that's something that would happen, pretending that this isn't wildly hypocritical. She won't even do that. It's just in these states, red states, we're not gonna let the Democrats vote. And she even undercuts her argument further by whining for 45 seconds straight about the fact that Georgia isn't, in even her mind, a red state anymore. A lot of Democrats have come in, or maybe some of them have started voting, and now it's elected 2 Democrats, and it went for Joe Biden. So why would you be allowed to ban Democratic votes there? It's not even under your definition of red state. JR, I know there's a lot here, but what do you think?
There's a lot here, just not coming from her brain. That's the whole thing about this. So she's completely missing the possibility. What you pointed out, I think, and as a bit of an aside here, that what's happening in probably some of these states is people are coming of age to vote. And it's obvious that the Republican Party has absolutely no connection to younger generations to a large enough degree to carry their votes, which is why they have these policies that stop college students from voting, registering. They're trying to X out those certain communities and areas where those younger folks vote, in addition to, of course, immigrant communities, black folks, other minorities, to make sure that they don't vote because they don't appeal to them. All of their policies are oppressive to all those groups because they only serve a very particular small group of people, as we've already seen. So in order to continue any kind of control, they have to change rules and policies. She's just floating another one here that makes absolutely no sense. This comes after the secession talk, which also makes absolutely no sense because she pointed out how her state is already purple then. So we divide them up amongst states, red and blue states, based off of what? Based off of which election? What if it switches again and the governor of that state is then a blue or red governor and then the legislator there is the opposite party? What sense does that make? How is it a red or a blue state? Maybe the solid ones like the Montanas and Idahos and whatever of the country are the ones that they can solidly say are red. Utah being one. It's surrounded by Nevada, California, and all those other blue states. So tell me again how this is supposed to work. It's not supposed to work. This is the whole point about this. She's saying all this and she's doubling down on the secession game, even though people are calling how stupid it is, because she needs the end game of what she says she doesn't want is what's gonna lead us to civil war. And what does civil war look like? It's, again, something else that doesn't make any sense, especially in this day and age of America. What it does lead to is more violent, rabid Marjorie Taylor Greene supporters that are like, I'm going to civil war. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know what it feels like, but they do know they want to start killing people. That's the end game here.
Well, they should read a book or watch a movie because we know what it looks like. People like her so desperately wanted to own slaves that they tried to break apart the country and got their asses kicked. That's what it looks like. But I agree, it's not about actually making this policy. It's not about actually getting the national divorce or whatever, which is why she's not bothering to pretend that there's any constitutional underpinning for any of this. There isn't. She's not pretending that there's any philosophical underpinning for this. Why shouldn't they be allowed to vote? Because she doesn't like their values, their policies. That's it. There's nothing beyond that. She is not even attempting it. It's just designed to push anyone who hears it, who's a Republican, who likes, I don't want to ever have to actually legitimately win an election. I don't want to have our people try to win people over. I just want us to win automatically by default, to accept whatever crazy thing comes next. Stop requiring reasons for the ideas that are presented to you. If it feels good, that's reason enough, even if it means shredding the Constitution, destroying the country, and all of that.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.